love, like love is obviously you don't want anybody's harm, so that is love anyways. You want everybody to evolve, like, I mean, that's, you know, you're wanting everybody to evolve, and whatever is required for that, like, because a lot of times, like, uh, if you what does love mean? Like, if love means, like, if some kid is crying for Coca-Cola, you give them Coca-Cola, is that love? Like,
No.
yes, yes, like, I mean, we have to define love using, like, the what exactly is this, you know love is care for their well-being, and you care for your own well-being, right? That's, and if you don't have care for your own well-being, you can never have care for anyone else's well-being anyways. That's not possible.
Yeah. As
Yeah,
inside, so outside. Yeah.
yeah, yes. So that's where you have to start from, and people start using these terms and stuff without understanding. So that's why the whole problem occurs. Okay, the thing is that whenever people should, like, think in terms of relationships of any kind, like, I would say any kind, like, whether it's like what is called like a boyfriend girlfriend, husband wife, or, or mother's child, or any kind of relationships, people have family, all kinds of relationships, you know they should understand one basic core principle, that no being can own another being. Okay, that's the core root principle. No being can own another being. Now, if you don't have ownership, then monogamy, whatever that word, goes out of the window anyways. You know, like, where you are not owning another person or anything like that. Like, so you can't say like that, that you have control over what they do. You know, and what is the relationship thing anyways right now? It is, like, people deal with each other. Any being, one being is dealing with another being. Okay. Now, what is the basis of that dealing? You know, like, any dealing should be for the betterment, isn't it, for both parties, right? Whenever any dealing happens, there should be some gain, which is evolutionary gain for both parties involved. It should do something good to them, right? you know Whenever any being does anything, like, even if you take out relationships, even if you do some action for yourself, if you eat a healthy food, why are you eating it? Because you feel better then, right? you know any action you're doing, which is eating, like, which is one action, you do that so that you feel better, and it is better for you, right? It's good for you. Same applies to relationships. The same concept. You deal with another person only when it is better for you, when you gain some evolution out of it, whenever it's, if it is not better for you, okay, then what's the point?
Yeah.
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 Because you won't finally, like, if both beings are like, oh, I want good for myself, I want wellness for myself, okay, and other being is also like that, then those beings will deal with each other with a respect. Okay, that this person wants their own wellness, I want my own wellness. Okay, so that will be there at the baseline. That will be the baseline for it. Any interaction amongst any human being, it should be okay, that it should, something good should come out of it. Otherwise, why are you wasting time? Or if it something bad happens to you from that, that's no good, right? you know
Yeah.
no one wants that. Okay, so I think people should go into the core points rather than use the word relationship, which is just too bandied about. There's no such thing. It's just people dealing with each other, beings dealing with each other, and beings should deal with each other only when it is to benefit of both, and in ways which are beneficial for both. Okay, and not give it any label or whatsoever. I don't think any label is required. Okay, of any kind. You know, so I mean, even a mother, like, can have, like, that thing towards a child. Like, ownership sort of thing. Like, okay, or it might want good for it. Yeah, mother should want good for the child, right? But if mother is dealing with child in a way which is not good for it, okay, then that's not mother anyways. So that whole tag goes out of the window again. you know the whole thing is about, like, beneficial and nurturing and something better, evolutionary. That's the whole point of dealing with any other being. So that's the whole point of it, and that should be applied across the board without giving it any labels. I would personally won't like to give it any labels. Like, for me, it's all beings dealing with other beings. It's very simple. That way stays very simple, you know, and then you don't get confused about, oh, like, what do I do in this situation or that situation, or, you're not doing role playing. Otherwise, in all these sort of relationships, people do role play. Okay, this is this, so I'll play this role. This is that, so I'll play that role. Become like an actor of some sorts. You know, but if your dealings are the same, like with everyone, like, okay, I want their benefit and that thing, and it should be beneficial, then it makes it much simpler for you how to deal with anyone, you know, and how to be appropriate with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, so all of that is, I mean, that's why I always say, like, there's only one relationship in the multiverse, really, is guru disciple, you know, actually. you know when you're small, your mother is your guru, basically, because she's telling you how to do things, what to do, what not to do, this thing, that thing, what to eat, like, like, it's whosoever is doing that for you or whatever, you know and finally it is always that, you know in any relationship. And then when people are in relationships where supposedly nobody can tell anyone anything, because they're supposedly like that thing, then there's a lot of tension. you know like, okay, like, because then um there's a whole thing, like, okay, who'll decide? Like, one person decides one thing, then another person decides something else, then what? Then clash, you know you know
Yeah.
so
Kind
yeah.
of clashes.
Yeah, it is obviously, like, because obviously people are not going to decide the same things all the time, and this kind of thing is not going to happen, and so clashes are very that thing. So I think the whole, if the bedrock is that, okay, we're going to be of benefit to each other, like every being when it deals with another being, and with that respect, this is a being, you know and you don't want to harm anyone, you know and that should be there from the other side too. They don't want to harm you, they want your benefit only. Then it's a positive, meaningful interaction between beings. I think all our interactions and all interactions should be for the better. That's all it should be. Even the word relationship can be, I think, replaced by interaction. The only responsibility they have in this multiverse is to themselves. If they can lift their own being upwards, okay, and they're going in upward direction, multiverse doesn't think that they need to do anything else, nothing else, whether it's your so-called family or anything. Because what is family? Family is what you're born into, and blood relations, what you mean by that. That is. But what I'm saying is, real family is where your direction is more in harmony with. You're going in a certain direction, and those beings also going in that direction. So that more feels more like family, right? Than a family where you're born into, but you're going in that direction and they're going in a totally different direction. Then that's a clash. Okay. So what family should be used for? What is actually familiar, and what is familiar should be what direction you're going in will automatically be more familial, okay, than the so-called family. Okay, okay. So that's the important point in that. So and nobody needs to, like, actually put their point of view on them either, because if they want to know something from you, then you can tell them those things, okay. But there's no point putting pressure on them just because they're family, you know because that never works out, because in the end of the day, everyone is beings, like when you leave the physical body, you go alone, you know you don't it's not like the whole family will go with you, you know yeah. So yeah.
Sort of an obligation or
No, I no, there's no only obligation. Only obligation is to yourself first. If you're doing good for yourself, then, which is to the multiverse, that obligation you have to, like, you're on earth right now as a human being, right? That's your station right now, and you're using that earth to raise yourself. Then everything, whatever this world gives you or your family gives you, is worth it. And if you don't do that, then there's no way to repay anything back either. You know, like for example, all the food which comes to you, which you eat, comes from earth, right? Okay, now then you have an obligation to earth that way, you know, right?
Yeah.
But how to fulfill that obligation is by raising yourself.
Okay.
Yes. So when you raise yourself, you fulfill all the obligations of the multiverse
Wow.
automatically.
That's amazing.
Whether
That
it's monetary, whether it's anything, whether it's in terms of resources or anything. Because finally, all the resources come from earth. The house you live in, it's from earth, made of materials from earth. All the food you eat is from earth. Everything. And people, everyone, people who are involved in getting it to you, everything, like, that all obligation is fulfilled once you raise yourself. That means you're doing your job. Okay. You know, and then all these things are done. But if you're not doing that, then this whole responsibility thing comes, like, you have to give back to them. If someone gives you 10, you have to give them 10 back, and all this.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, this kind of scale kind of thing starts. But if you're raising yourself, then it's all over.